Just nudge it. Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 2 of Season 6, I believe. Is that correct, Rupia?
Sounds good.
We are off to a very, very slow start this season. We kind of cut Season 5 short to get into Season 6 because we were so excited about it, but Season 6 is off to a slow start. It's only our second episode in like a month.
Yeah, my favorite.
Oh,
It's
we
already
had, we
my
had
favorite.
vacations and things happening.
I didn't go on vacation.
I did.
Oh. So our guest today, we'll get into our guest, but our guest today is George Berg. Say hello, George.
Hello, everybody.
George is an architect locally here, and my second cousin.
I think that's how it works. Your father and my mother are first cousins, so
Yeah.
I guess that makes us second cousins.
That's
I'm not
right.
Sure.
Is that on the Camuso side?
Would be on the Camuso side.
Yeah.
right?
So my grandmother is your mother's mother.
Is
You have the
my-
same grandmother?
No, your mother is my mother's aunt. Your grandmother and my grandfather were brother and sister.
So grandma was your grandfather's
Sister. Right.
Everybody got that?
Is this
Got
going to be
it.
a long
That
story?
That made his grandmother my great aunt, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know how it all works.
There's a lot of people.
It's family.
Family.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And we'll talk a little bit about this, but we used to have like a big family party.
Christmas night all
Yeah.
the time. We had to get dragged away from our toys, and we went down to, what was it?
Where?
St. Vincent's Church Hall across the street in Southie.
That's what it was, in the
Right.
basement.
Yeah, it was in the basement. It was the biggest room in the world until I went there when I was 30, and it was the size of this.
Really? Yeah, I always remember it feeling huge and tons of people there that I didn't want to talk to.
Exactly.
Right.
Let's get the presents. We got to get out of here.
That's right. That's right.
How quickly can we move to that?
So we'll get into George, but before we do, we gotta, we do. Have you listened to the podcast, George?
Yes, I've listened to it quite a few episodes.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I caught the end of season 5 when you were talking about cutting it short and starting season 6.
Okay,
So-
good. So you know the format, which is good. And my sister Doris is going to be very excited to hear
I'm
that you're on the
I'm
podcast.
sure she will.
She is
Yeah.
my number one listener.
There you go.
So say hello to Doris.
Hey, Doris, how are you?
Good. Keithy, what's going on with crowd lending? You don't know.
No, I do.
I mean, Keith has been on a vacation for 6 weeks.
No, I was gone for 4 days.
No, there's an argument here. Okay, you left on Thursday.
I flew out Thursday afternoon.
Okay, Thursday. What was the date? What was the date on the calendar? Because I'm going to get George. George has run a business for a long time. We're going to get his opinion.
It was
here.
a Thursday. That was the date on the calendar.
Did you come to work that Thursday?
I worked from home that
No.
Yep.
Answer the
Well,
question.
no, hold on.
Did you come to the office?
I worked from home.
Did you come to the office?
Worked from home Thursday. I was out Friday, George.
Okay.
Monday, which I didn't know was a holiday.
Yeah.
Marathon Monday.
Yep.
Tuesday I was out.
Yeah.
Wednesday I was out.
Yeah.
Thursday I was out.
Yeah.
And then Friday I worked from home. So I missed 4 days of work.
I didn't.
So there's a work from home on the front end and a work from home on the back end with a vacation day.
Questionable,
With
right?
I mean,
Questionable
you were
holiday.
gone for you were gone from here from a Thursday to the following Monday.
I was, but I only missed 4 days of work.
It's because everybody missed
It's
you.
a questionable
is what it is.
holiday.
Yeah, it's not even a real holiday. So I think George, as a business owner, is on my side with this one.
Skeptical at the best.
So that really slowed us down. Plus, Root Beer's been super busy. Haven't you, Root Beer?
Yeah.
How's the
Yeah.
wedding planning going?
We go back and forth.
What does that mean? Besides
having it,
besides
not
getting
having it?
married and not getting
Yeah,
married?
that's what I was thinking right off the
Where,
bat.
Where, when,
Who?
how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where are we right now in a snapshot in time?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. He looked at me the other day. He's like, "Are you ever going to be my wife?"
Aww.
Well,
I know.
Just go down to town
Oh,
hall.
I love him. Yeah, I know. We might.
Let's call it a day.
That's what we're thinking.
And then
That's one of the options.
yeah. What are the other ones? 700 people at a
Yep.
yeah.
Vegas
70 years of
Vegas.
death. Yeah.
or Maine, Acadia, Maine.
What goes on in Acadia, Maine?
Just a nice mountain, nice national park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you should do.
Yeah,
That's where you're at in life.
I'll tell him.
Yeah. Let him know.
He's like, whatever you want to do. I'm like, can you give me something?
So, but okay. So let's talk about that because that happens in my house a lot.
Yeah.
That happens where it's like, okay, what do you want for dinner? And then I make a suggestion. He's like, well, I don't want that. I'm like, don't ask me then.
Right.
So are you the type of person that when he says, you know, whatever you want to do, if you say, well, I want to go to Acadia, Maine, is he going to say, really?
No, he would say, okay, plan it. Let's go.
So make a decision then.
Yeah. But I want his input too.
Why?
Because it's
It's not his day.
our day.
No.
That's, I don't.
No, not a
Three
chance.
married guys. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to tell you, Marlene says all the time. She always refers to it as my wedding day.
Because it was probably the big, beautiful wedding, like that she had dreamt of.
Yeah.
When
But I was still there.
Yeah, but it's her,
I too got married.
It's her day that she planned, that she had intended her whole life.
Yep.
And I don't really have that. I just wanted the right man.
Oh, and you found him.
I know.
Johnny Cops.
So tell me what you want to do, Johnny Cops.
He doesn't listen, so or watch.
He'll soon learn.
So recent little thing I got going on here at the office is drinking lattes.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you have a latte, George?
I'm not a big latte.
Are you a coffee guy? Just like straight coffee?
Coffee.
Black.
Dunks.
Black.
Black.
Yeah, I feel like everybody. How old are you, Judge? 55? 50?
No, I will be 60 in August.
Oh wow, you
I'm
look
up
good.
there.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, kind of- so I feel like I almost would put you, and I don't take this the wrong way, but like in a generation above me in the family hierarchy, because you're more Robbie's age, who's 59. You're more in that, and I feel like they all drink coffee black. All you guys, Kenny, Uncle Kenny drinks
Yeah.
coffee black. You, my father, my brother. I feel like the real men drink coffee black. I'm over here drinking lattes.
Are those the ones with the foam on top?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
They're
I don't
tasty.
know. No, they're not.
See, they like that coffee black. They like that coffee black. That's black.
Huh?
I drink mine black.
That's
but
pretty
I
close.
do like a nice little latte treat.
Okay.
Ah.
So I shouldn't be having a latte every day? Is that what you're saying?
You can. They're not bad.
No?
No.
What do they do to make a latte? Like, so I was thinking about this morning. Like, I come in here and I ask Madison, who's kind enough to make me a latte when she's making herself a latte. But if I was to go to Dunkin's or Starbucks or isn't there a place called Latte? Tate?
Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was to go there, I wouldn't know what to order.
It's espresso and steamed milk. That's what a latte is.
Yeah. So
That's
that has a
bad.
lot of caffeine in it then.
She does half calf for yours.
Oh, see, she's
Yeah,
looking out.
Yeah.
She's looking out.
Yep.
So, Keithy, latte?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that thing we have in the kitchen, the espresso machine.
That a latte?
Isn't that similar to a latte? It's
Yeah.
foamy and
Yeah. She just steams the milk as well and then pours it on top.
It's a little special extra
It
treat.
is
Yeah, I
nice.
don't
You know what
get
the
Treat.
special ingredients in that is?
Love.
Love. Everybody knew it. Little correction from episode 1. My sister Doris, again, shout out to Doris, was very quick to note that what is it? The March of Ides, the
Ides of
Ides of
March.
Ides of March is
Yeah.
not March 17th. It's March 15th.
15th.
Yeah. I said it was March 17th. So the Romans or whoever wanted to collect their debt on the 15th of March. That was the March of Ides of March.
Wasn't that the day they killed Caesar as well?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
et tu brute.
Yeah. There you go.
What does that mean?
Boom.
YouTube Brutus, his friend, was in on it.
Oh. Is that French? Roman?
That's
Latin?
it would be called Latin.
Latin. Yeah, that was definitely
I'm
Latin.
pretty sure that's what they spoke. back
Yeah.
then.
That's a dead language now, right?
Uh-huh.
Hank takes Latin. Very good for reading and writing. Latin.
Yeah.
If you the study of Latin, but you're not going to get any ladies speaking Latin.
No.
Maybe a little French. You might get the ladies.
Or Italian.
Yeah, hey, old ladies. Yeah. Annabelle decided on a college, everybody.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
good.
Southern
Where?
Methodist University down in
Very good.
Dallas. She's in the a little proud dad moment. She's in the
Yeah.
honors program down there. She's in the pre-law scholar program down there, and she's gonna row crew.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So she's
Very
super excited.
impressive.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm going there this weekend.
Be a fun trip.
Yeah. There's an event. So I guess I didn't go to a school that, and we'll get into this. Where'd you go to college, George?
I went to Wentworth and then the Boston Architectural Center.
Okay.
So I stayed local.
Stayed local. You went to Fairfield, which doesn't have sororities and fraternities, right? You?
Westfield.
Sororities, fraternities?
No.
So sororities and fraternities is obviously big down in, as you can imagine, they're big down in Dallas, and but they're already recruiting her. So we're going there this weekend for a party called the Jungle. Well, I'm not going to the party, but we're flying down because it's like a big recruiting event for next year's sorority and fraternity classes.
Fun.
Yeah.
Very
So
fun.
she's got a race Friday morning. Me, her, and Hank get on a plane to Saturday, fly down. She's gonna party Saturday night. Hank and I are gonna go into Dallas. Then Hank and I are gonna play golf on Sunday, and then we're flying back.
Nice.
Wait,
Yeah.
that's so you're like dropping her off at the party? And
Yeah, I'm
then-
gonna be like, hey guys, okay.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Dad's uninvited.
Yeah, they're not
That's
invited.
Awesome.
I mean, I am a cool dad, but
Not-
that's
Not
not that
cool
cool.
enough.
So sticking with a segment that we sort of started last week, song lyrics. Hi, Chris. How you doing, buddy? Song lyrics. Okay. You guys like the song "Born in the USA"?
Yes.
I like the
Sure.
song. I don't like the singer.
You don't like the Boss.
Hate him.
You love the
I
Boss.
love the boss.
You a Boss fan?
Not necessarily.
No.
I mean, it's okay, but I can't listen to it 24/7.
Okay, but if a song's on the radio, you're not going to change the channel.
No, typically not.
Now you would think that the song "Born in the USA" is a patriotic song, right?
No,
Not at all.
it's not.
No,
Oh my God.
very much not.
Very much not
Very
at
much
all.
not.
I mean, I have the lyrics here. It's like a terrible story of like a horrible life.
He didn't play it at his concert.
You went to his concert?
Yeah.
When?
Summer.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's like 75, right?
Oh my God, he looks good. He sounds good.
Really?
He's full of life. Yeah.
So he didn't play the song
No.
because he thought it was a bad representation of America. Like,
I think the connotation to it, or maybe the people didn't like it. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's essentially like he does something that he's got to cover up for the rest of his life, and then he does something else, and he gets in a jam, and they send him over to fight the war. Then he comes back, and he tries to get housing, and he can't get housing, and then his brother gets killed over in Vietnam, or the Viet Cong. Like, it's a terrible story. Did you know that?
I knew parts of that. I obviously I don't know the lyrics.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm
It's
not
bad.
a huge fan of his.
Yeah. How come?
I don't like him. He's too political. He's too. Just can't
What about Bob Dylan?
love Bob Dylan.
Yeah. You like Bob Dylan?
Yeah, I think he's all right.
Yeah.
I think they're all politicians
Yeah.
to a degrrie, though.
I feel like, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like the one that really brought that nonsense out was
Bono.
100%.
Yeah.
And you too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like he was the one that like all of a sudden felt he was high and mighty and could, and a little bit more over in Ireland first, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He had a big voice over there, and then he kind of brought it over here. And
Mhm.
but it's like, buddy, you're a singer.
Just sing.
Yeah, who really cares what
Right,
you think about America?
Yeah, I don't
You know?
care what Taylor Swift thinks of politics. Just sing your songs about breaking up with boys, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
Pretty much.
that's it.
Yeah.
But I so that's why I printed them out in case, like I printed them out. And then I printed out the song that I really really like is "Tangled Up in Blue" by Bob Dylan. That's a cool story about how he meets a girl, helps her out of a gym, then thinks about her for a long, long time, and then they end up meeting up again, and they read some poetry together. I'm like, that's a song.
Yeah.
Right?
That's sweet.
Yeah. I mean, they meet at a strip club at the end.
Was she
Wow.
working?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think it by my read of it is I think she was just a bartender there or a waitress there. I don't think she was actually topless, but I could be wrong. He takes her back after the thing. She takes her back to their apartment. They're playing music and reading poetry together.
It's a pretty long song.
It's a look. I was so
Yeah.
look at. So that's the lyrics. If anybody can see that, that's the lyrics to "Born in the USA," right? And half of it's "Born in the USA," right? That's half the song. Look at Bob Dylan.
That's a story.
Yeah.
It's a tale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music's not like that anymore.
So that's it's like you read my mind.
Yeah.
Like what artist now? Okay, so this is what my question, and I have what artist now sings songs like this? Whether you like Bruce Springsteen or not, right? It's a story, right? And then Bob Dylan's a man among himself as far as a lyricist goes or a songwriter. Like who's writing songs like that now?
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. They're short quips and a little bit of a hook, and then they go back to it and sing it over.
And they play the hook over and over and over again.
Right. Or every song is similar, like about a boy breaking up with you or meeting the wrong guy.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
It's not good.
No new thoughts.
There's not a lot of music now that I think is generational music. Right?
No, definitely not.
But I would say one of the best writers of music, or lyricists or whatever, is Eminem.
Ooh.
He's good.
He
Good
is
call.
Yeah, he's good.
good. That is a surprising answer.
Really?
Yes.
Who did you think I was going to say?
I don't know.
Who would you say?
I don't know. Nowadays?
Yeah. I mean, he's not even nowadays. He's been around 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a long time.
He's been around a long time. But all those, like that generation of rappers, I guess we sound old, like my generation of rappers, like Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Eminem, Dr. Dre, like they were so much better than the rappers
He
now.
does tell a story. too.
Eminem.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
That's very true. I agree. Not that I can think of anybody in the modern genre of that genre sings stories. Really.
no,
You know.
it's all hooks and beats and stuff like that, right, Keith?
I agree.
Yeah.
Eminem's great.
Does anybody know how the deck of cards ended up with 52 cards in it and 4 suits and all that stuff? Does anybody know?
No.
Not a clue.
So I don't know if I believe this, but here it is. Ready? So there's 52 cards, which is 52 weeks. There's 2 colors, night and day. 4 suits for the 4 seasons. 13 cards per suit, 13 weeks per season. If you add up 12 court cards, so Jack, Queen, King, for the 12 months. If you add up all the cards, meaning, ace plus ace plus ace plus ace is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 2, all the way up, you get to 364, and then the jokers represent the leap years for the days of the month, days of the year. Do you believe that?
No.
You had me right up until the Joker thing. That doesn't make any sense to me,
That's exactly where I landed on this thing.
right?
It's very close.
It's very close, but I feel like that's what got me.
Right.
The 364 and then the Joker gets you. No, because there's not 364 in a regular year. There's 365 and then 366.
Right. And leap year's only, every 4 years?
Right.
Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't add up.
No.
Because every normal year would be 365 except for that leap year.
Right. So you
Which is
need the
365.
365th card.
Yeah.
So the answer is no
No.
on that. Okay. Remember we talked about Popeye?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So does anyone know how Batman came about?
Oh.
So apparently there was a king of Scotland named Robert the Bruce. Okay, he was a king of Scotland, and his descendant was a guy by the name of Wayne Bruce. And Wayne Bruce inherited all that money from the king of Scotland, and he used to put on a costume that looked like Batman and go out and fight crime in Glasgow, Scotland.
So it's based on a true story?
So it's based on a guy named Wayne Bruce Wayne, who
Right.
was a rich guy, fought crime. If you think about Gotham City, it's very similar to Glasgow. So that's where
I could get behind that.
you can get that behind that one. All right. Okay. All right.
Interesting.
Because Robert Bruce was a major figure in, what was that Mel Gibson movie, Braveheart?
Braveheart. Yeah.
Robert the Bruce was the
Robert the
young-
Bruce was the
yeah.
king at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the king of Scotland. So O.J. Simpson died.
Oh,
Bye.
he did.
Yeesh.
It's terrible.
Did he do it?
100% did it.
Did he do it?
I believe so.
Did he do it?
Yes,
Totally did it.
he did it.
Totally
Yes, he
did it. So, I'm watching a show right now on Netflix.
Oh, I saw that.
It's like 5 or 6
I
episodes.
haven't seen it, but I saw the.
Yeah. It's really good. It's super long. Okay, it's like 5 episodes, and every episode's like an hour and 35 minutes. So it's really, really long, but it's really good.
Whose point of view is it? Is it a?
It is. It's definitely so. It's like the whole. It's from the point of view of how did he get off?
Okay.
Okay, like what were the contributing factors to him getting off? So it very much starts with like, okay, who is OJ and how did OJ become OJ, and it really focuses on him shedding, not considering himself a black person. And so there's a whole bunch about race in LA at the time, coming up, and but it talks a lot about how he specifically would not get in bed with like Muhammad Ali and any of the other black leaders at the time to fight for anything that had to do with race. And he was like, I'm not white, I'm not black, I'm OJ. And he ended up living in a white culture, very much living in a white culture, because he was almost like, I'm not black, I'm not a black person. Marries a white woman. Obviously, that's actually his second marriage, but that's where it's from. Like, how did he? What outside factors contributed to him beating a case when 97? I just polled 4 people in the room, and everybody said he did it.
Right.
Right.
Well, at the time, it was such a media frenzy.
Yeah.
I think race had a decent amount to do with it.
Absolutely.
Even though he said that he's not or whatever, that was a huge thing.
Yeah, you had
for the
Rodney
public.
King.
Rodney King.
The whole.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that around that time?
Yeah, so Rodney King was like 88. The murders were like 94. It was my senior year. So they talk about Rodney King. They talk about there was 3 or 4 other racially charged incidents involving the LAPD, and the chief of the LAPD at the time was super arrogant, and it was like, yeah, this type of stuff happens. Like people getting, them kicking down a door to execute a search warrant and shooting a woman that had a baby with her, like crazy stuff. That,
Yeah.
but it's a great piece. But point of me bringing it up is you want to talk about the nudges in life, right? So it's like, okay, and this isn't necessarily in the documentary, but the year that OJ was drafted, the Buffalo Bills lost their last game of the season to get the first pick or whatever pick so that they could pick OJ. So OJ goes to Buffalo. When he's in Buffalo, he meets Nicole. As a result of meeting Nicole, they move. He ends up getting traded or signing with the San Francisco 49ers. They move out west. He ends up killing her. As a result of killing her, they hire the Kardashians, and now that guy makes $1 gazillion. The daughters become who the daughters are. So we essentially have the Buffalo Bills to blame for the Kardashians.
Do you know that the dad didn't leave any money to those girls?
He didn't?
When he passed away. He married like 2 weeks prior to dying and left all of his money to the wife.
What was
The
his
new
name?
wife, Robert.
The
That's
new
right.
wife, yeah. Left nothing to them. Left like a Bible or personal items. Left not a penny.
Yeah, so she made a sex tape, and now the rest is history.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
Pretty much.
Right? I mean,
Yeah, that's how it works. I
yeah, I
guess.
mean, that's as
No,
simple as that.
It doesn't, though.
I've tried it.
Right. I failed miserably.
Oh, man. Keith, you got any jokes?
I got a couple.
Okay, hit me with some jokes. So we tell some jokes, clean jokes. So if you have any clean, where this segment started, George, the history of it is dad jokes, right? Because we're always saying stupid dad stuff around here because we're all dads. Not Root Beer, but everybody else. So if you have any dumb dad jokes that you go to, just have them ready at the ready, okay?
Did you know I was sued for sexual harassment?
I did not know this.
Yeah, I had to ask my lawyer to get me off.
So bad. So bad. Okay.
Why do rappers need umbrellas?
Why do rappers need umbrellas? I don't know.
Oh, drizzle.
Okay.
Give me the last
Let's
one.
see who else we can offend.
Why do ducks have feathers on their tails?
I don't know why.
To cover their butt quacks.
Okay, that's cute. Okay.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, of course it is. George, you got any?
No, I got nothing that can be put over the interwebs.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, George is going to pass. Okay, so this one's not in my book, and I'm probably going to screw it up. But that no, I'm not going to tell it. So I named my toilet Jim instead of John.
Okay.
Everybody's super impressed when I tell them I go to the gym every day.
There's one like that. I call my dog 5 Mile.
I gotta go walk 5 miles.
I'm gonna take 5 Mile for a run, something like that.
I'm gonna go for a 5. I'm gonna go for a walk, a 5 mile walk. I'm gonna take a 5 mile walk.
Yeah.
I don't know how it goes. If a cow doesn't produce milk, are they a milk dud or an utter failure? I like that one. So I took a new job. Yeah, on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm working at Walmart. I'm a Walmart greeter. You know, people come in. So I'm there on Saturday doing I got the morning shift, 7 to 9 or 7 to noon or whatever it is. And this woman comes in. She's loud. She's gross, screaming at her kids. She's got 2 kids with her, and she's yelling at them, and she's just not put together at all. And so I said, "Oh, nice to see you, ma'am. Thanks for coming to Walmart. Are those 2 kids twins?" And she looks at me and goes, "No, twins? One's 8 and one's 6. Are you stupid or are you blind?" I said, "I'm not either, but I'm surprised someone slept with you twice." I like that one.
All right, so check the Walmart people off.
Yeah. All the Walmart shoppers are mad at us. All right, last joke, and then I actually have a lot of stuff today. I didn't think I was prepared, but we're gonna carry it over to episode 3 because we got to get into George here. But I'm gonna tell one more joke. So, a priest says he's at church, and priest says to a young boy, he says, "Little Johnny, aren't you afraid of Satan?" Johnny looks at him and goes, "I'm not, but you should be. You've been talking shit every Sunday about him."
That's a cute one.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Check off the Catholics.
No.
We got everybody covered.
Okay, we good? Everybody good?
We talked about OJ,
Yeah.
Walmart.
All right. So I'll tell my potting story when we're potting. But George Berg. All right, George. So tell me, where were you born?
I was born in Milton, Massachusetts, to be exact.
Was that so Milton Hospital, or were you living in Milton at the time you were born?
Milton Hospital.
Okay, and where was home at that time?
Home was in Weymouth.
Weymouth.
So
you Weymouth your whole life?
Entire life. Yep.
And where do you stack up in the youngest, oldest, brothers and sisters?
I'm the oldest of 3.
Oldest of 3.
That's correct.
So your parents moved to Weymouth from Brighton?
They were actually living at Quincy. Mom was from Southie. My father was from Dorchester, like everybody else
Yeah.
on the South Shore. And they lived in Quincy, and then after I was born, they moved to Weymouth.
Okay. All right. So you were so when you were actually born, you were still in Quincy.
I believe they still lived there, but it was very shortly.
Very
after
short.
that, yeah.
And then you moved to Weymouth. And how old are how much younger are brothers and sisters?
So my sister Ann is 2 years younger, and my brother Chris is 3 years younger.
Okay.
So
All
we're
right.
pretty closely packed.
Yeah. So you got what, 5 in your family?
Mm-hmm.
I got 4. You?
2.
2. Oldest? We've gone over this. Oldest? Who's older?
I'm younger.
You're younger. Where do you stack up?
Second oldest.
Second oldest. All right. So we got it covered. Because I'm the baby.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
The babies are the best. You know that.
Away with everything.
I agree.
Yeah. So do you go to Weymouth schools?
I went to Weymouth schools, yes.
All the way through?
All the way through. Yep.
Play any sports growing up?
A little bit of baseball, a little bit of soccer, but not heavily into sports at the time.
Okay.
The youth sports weren't really very well organized
In Weymouth.
in Weymouth at the time.
Okay. So what did you do all day?
We went to work.
Really?
We hung out after school, in high school in particular. Just went down to work for a precast concrete company, and we just worked there after school as much as we could. Yeah.
So was that expected, or did you just do it because you had nothing else to do and idle hands are the tools of the devil?
Well, I think we did it just because it was good to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't like my parents said, "You're going to work. You're not going to hang around." I mean, for a fairly significant period of time, I was in, I guess, rather than a sport, it was drum and bugle corps, right?
Okay.
So we were pretty busy with that through high school and then ultimately into college. And then after that, I would choreograph and teach it. So
let's back up here, because this is always interesting. Now, again, I'll say two things. One of my favorite parts of this podcast is knowing George obviously my whole life. I never knew that, right? I didn't know. So that's so fun for me, right? I love that. But I'm always interested in, and I'm afraid I might offend you here, but you got thick skin.
I'm not going to be offended.
It's like, how do you get into that? Like, how does that? I this is gonna sound terrible, but like I always look at like a guy that's performing as a clown, and I'm like, how did he get there? Right? What was the steps that landed him to be dressed up as a clown right now? And I'm not saying that, I'm not equating, but my point is, Keith's making faces at me because he knows when I start talking fast like this, I'm trying to unwind something that I'm about to do.
Before you do it.
Before I do
That's
it.
classic. I like that.
He knows exactly. So is that something you started as a young kid?
Yeah, when I was in grade school, they trot out, do you want to play the trumpet? Do you want to play the clarinet? So I ultimately played the trumpet, and I was in the school band,
Yep.
as most kids were that took up an instrument. And then from there, I joined the local drum and bugle corps, St. Francis Sanctions, which was sponsored by St. Francis Church in Weymouth.
Okay.
And then from there, it just morphed into, in this area, there's some really good organizations. And, of course, every school has a school band.
Yep.
So the competitive band circuit is actually much bigger than most people realize.
Yeah, I never would have known that.
And there's international and national competitions. Well, like that, drum corps is the same. I mean, there's literally drum and bugle corps now that have $2, $3, $4 million a year budgets.
Oh, wow.
And they travel the country competing and all of that. So we got into, doing some choreography for that, making sure that that nobody runs into one another. And so, it's not a lot of people know about that.
Yeah.
Particularly in this area because it's kind of, lousy most of the year. But if you go to California or in some of the southern states, they're outside all year long, and there's some college budgets and high school budgets in the South that would put, professional budgets to shame up here.
So
It's crazy.
was music played in your house? Was the music a big part of growing up, or you just someone said, "Hey, do you want to play the trumpet?" You said, "I'll give that a shot," and fell in love with it.
Yeah, it wasn't really part of the household, right?
Yeah.
It was just give it a shot.
Yeah, because music, and we've talked about this. Music was not played in my house. My sisters, and they played their music, but like a lot of houses, a lot of people that are into music, they tend to say, yeah, we always had music playing, or the radio was always on, or my mother was playing records or something like that, but that wasn't going on.
No, not particularly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
My dad
then
would put on Victory at Sea every once in a while. I would have to sit through that.
that's different.
We all have stories like that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So, you do that all through high school?
I did it all through high school. Yep.
Okay. And were there any particular teachers, not necessarily in the bugle corps, but any particular teachers or anybody that influenced you coming up that sticks in your brain?
Not on the music front.
Weymouth did a great job with that then, huh? I'm kidding. No, but I'm saying educationally as well. Like, was there a teacher?
Yeah, there was first of all, I was not in the high school band in Weymouth.
How come?
I was already in the drum corps, and that was busy enough.
Okay.
But coming up, I always knew I wanted to be an architect. So Mr. Santa Cruz probably had the biggest impact. He was the teacher that handled, mechanical drafting and design and all of that stuff, and kind of got us all, in line, and so we would understand what we were in for.
And that was in high school?
That was in high school, yeah.
So I'm trying to think. I don't think that was we didn't have that as an option.
No.
So how did you know so early on that you wanted to be an architect?
It was just something that I was always interested in, right? When we were walking through houses and looking at things, I always paid attention to it, right? And started, just looking at different buildings, the school buildings, apartment buildings, residential houses, right? And it's just something I was always interested in, and I felt that it was one of those professions where you really had a lot of control over the outcome.
Yeah,
right?
Big time. I mean, you are the outcome.
Pretty much. I mean, you always have to deal with the client's wants and needs, and then codes and regulations, as we all know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
But at the end of the day, it's what you created, right? You can look at something, frankly, it's cliche, I know, but you say, I kind of remember initially sketching that out on a piece of paper or a napkin, literally.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and I'm going through it now. George is the architect on a project we got going on down in Nantucket, and I'm so looking forward to how those drawings become reality.
Right.
But it's so that must be pretty exciting to have that happen, like to finally see it and be like, oh my God, it's real.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. It's like anything else, right? Because you're always, if you're conscientious about it, you're always worried about whether or not you made the right move or the right decision, and 9 times out of 10 you do.
Yeah.
But it is exciting to see something come up out of the ground and be able to drive down the street 10 years later and say,
I drew that.
I drew that
on my kitchen table when I woke up at 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you take this class. You're obviously very interested in architecture at that time. You take this class with this teacher that has a nice influence on you, and then you got to decide on college at some point, right?
Correct. Right.
And so you mentioned it, I think, before off air. Maybe were we on air? Maybe it was off air. Where did you go to college?
I started at Wentworth and got an associate's degree there in architecture and engineering, and then did another year there towards my graduate degree. But I got a job working for a company.
So how did you decide on Wentworth? Was it just because it's close and it was fit your needs?
It was close. It was affordable. They had a great reputation. They've been around for years. They still have a great reputation, right? And it was very technically oriented. And what I liked about the program, believe it or not, is it was not a regular college where you may not have a class on Mondays and Thursdays and you get out at 11 on Wednesdays. It was the first 2 years was literally like a 9 to 5 job, 8 to 5. We had very little space, and they just taught you about what it was going to be like when you get out of there.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times if you go to another program or another school or even another degree, you don't really know what it's going to be like when you get out, right?
No.
You don't know about the all-nighters and the Saturdays and the missing stuff. It's a rigorous profession. You know, like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that even I studied to be a lawyer, and neither undergrad nor law school taught me, because law school was very similar to the undergrad. You had a class at 9, and then you hung around and had something to eat, and then you had another class at 1, and
right.
it wasn't like a job, like a 8 to 5 type of situation.
Right.
Which it sounds like Wentworth was.
Wentworth definitely was that for the better.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
And everybody's there essentially studying the same thing. I mean, are you traveling in, like with law school, you're traveling in packs, right? Because you get stuck in a group, and that group goes through their 3 years pretty much together.
That's pretty much what Wentworth was. There was a group of, I think, 5 or 6 of us, and we all had the same class. And we all studied together. We were assigned study group, which was really helpful, because if somebody didn't really grasp something, there was 5 other people that could maybe fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
I think there was a benefit to that, because you're just not, it's an experience anyway. High school is so regimented that when you go and it's like, maybe I'll go down to Punter's Pub or something around there. Everybody's like, I can't do that. We got an exam, we got to study. So it kept you on task.
Yeah. And it's rare, having now dealt with my Annabelle applying for colleges and all her friends and talking about it, right? It's been the subject in the house. Not many kids of her crew, let's say she's got 15 in her crew, know what they want to study.
Right.
Annabelle being one of them. Like, she think she's interested in law, but she doesn't really know, and she might get there and take 3 classes and be like, I don't want to study law anymore. I want to study, something else. But so that's a little bit of a risk going in there, right? Like you could have got there and been like, oh my goodness, what did I do?
Well, I was lucky in that I fully understood what I wanted to do, right? I knew I wanted to be an architect and I was going to have to be serious about it. And, life gives you those little misdirects here.
They're called nudges. They're called nudges. That's what the show is all about. There you go.
So I needed a nudge, and I got them, plenty of them.
Yeah. Good and bad.
But like a lot of my friends in college had no idea what they wanted to do. They were just taking classes and hoping for the best when they come out the other end. Yeah. And I at least felt lucky that I knew what my goal was.
Yeah, I would say very lucky on that. So you started to say, and then I so rudely cut you off, or I would say eloquently cut you off, but some people might say rudely, that you got a job after. So you did an extra year at Wentworth.
I did an extra year at Wentworth, but in that process, Wentworth had a co-op program like most colleges do now. So I got a job as a co-op student that I really liked, and then Wentworth at the time didn't have all the certifications in place to allow me to become a registered architect. So I knew I had to make a decision at one point. And once I had a full-time job, I made the switch to the BAC because that was an accredited college that I knew that once I got out of there, I could take my exams and not have to worry about some regulatory agency saying, well,
you didn't take this class.
Yeah.
So what's the BAC?
It's the Boston Architectural Center. I think it's changed now. It's the Boston Architectural College.
Okay.
That was essentially a night program, fully accredited college. You took 6 to 7 credit hours a week, a semester. Yeah. So that's 6 hours in class at night after work. Super difficult.
Yeah, that's a heavy lift. And where are you living at this time?
I'm living in Weymouth still.
Living at home.
Living at home. I worked partially over in Port Norfolk and Dorchester, but then I was at the time also working up in North Reading because we had merged with a company. So, you had to work all day and go to school effectively all night.
Yeah, and married, not married at this point.
Yeah, I got married all in the middle of that.
Jesus Christmas! So how old were you when you got married?
I don't know. Was just trying to explain this to me. I don't remember. We got married in 94. So
you got married in 94? So let's do the math. You got married.
We didn't get married in 94. We got married in 93. I'm sorry.
Okay.
George was born in 94.
Okay. Edit that out. 93. So in 93, I was
junior in high school.
So I was 16, and you're 12 years older than me. So you were 28. That sound right?
Probably that sounds about right.
I feel like you were younger because you were doing all. So how long was architect school? How long were you at the BAC for?
So I switched over. So the BAC, if you start from scratch, is a 6-year program.
Okay.
So what ended up happening in the middle of all of that is I had become a partner for the company that I was working for.
Of course, just shot right to the top. Everybody else quit or got fired.
I couldn't. That's exactly right. I came in one day and nobody was there. I said,
"You're in charge.
Here are the keys, or here are the bills." Yeah. More importantly, and unfortunately, my partner at the time passed away suddenly.
Oh, jeez! I made a joke about that.
No, that's quite all right. So I had to take a little bit of a pause because I was, trying to keep the business running. We had several employees.
So you had to take a pause from the school.
I took a pause from school.
Okay.
That's right. And,
to run the business.
To run the business and make sure that was on solid footing. And I ultimately graduated. Technically, I guess I graduated from the BAC in 2000. So it was kind of a long road.
Yeah.
But not the planned road. I was probably a year and a half from finishing when my partner passed away. So, and then it was probably a couple of years. And, in the meantime, there were 2-3 kids in the mix.
So how many employees? So how old are you when your partner dies?
That was 97. So what did we just?
We just figured it out. So you're 32, 33.
Yeah, it was in my early 30s.
And you have to take over this business. And how many people are there?
We had 8 at the time.
Wow.
We were working on quite a bit of stuff.
So that's like, what year is that? 2000, 2001-ish?
No, he passed away. Paul passed away in 97, I believe.
Okay.
And, I ultimately then had to get my act together, and I think I graduated in 2000.
Okay. And at this point, how many kids?
3.
3.
Yeah, because our third, actually, I shouldn't say that too. Amanda was born at the end of 2000. I already graduated in that spring.
Okay. And how old are they now?
Josh is going to be 30 in August. Annie's going to be 28 in July, and Amanda's 23, going on 24 in November.
Wow. So are they all out like doing their own thing?
They are.
No one's living at home?
No, we have a couple living at home, which is fine because Amanda just graduated last year, and then she's she has a job and she's trying to ultimately get herself to law school. So
good for her.
As long as you're working towards that.
Yeah. Great education. Law school is a great education.
Yeah, she wants to do environment. She's got an environmental science degree.
Okay.
And she wants to do environmental policy. So
okay.
I mean, there's going to be no shortage of that.
No, that's a hot button item.
Yeah.
So she's at home.
She's at home, and our middle son, Danny, is at home right now while he saves up money for a place.
Good for him.
So he's working, and he runs a day program for schools like preschool, before school and after school programs.
Got it.
So he's doing that.
Got it. And so at some point, we built our house we bought our house in 2005, and you did a bunch of the architectural work on our redesign, and you had that office space in Weymouth.
Right above the old bank.
Yeah. So when did you move there?
So we moved there probably in about 2000 after Amanda was born. I had a place in the city on Woodworth Street, and no, not Woodworth Street. Actually, at the time we were on the corner. We were above Lucky's Lounge.
Oh, isn't that lucky?
Formerly known as Stewart's in the R Bar.
Yeah.
Because the B was missing off the sign. So we were there, and then with the 3 kids and all school stuff going on, and I was heavily involved in their sports and stuff. It was just much easier to be there and travel into the city for meetings if I needed to do that. So.
Right, got it. And all this time, are you still doing the bugle band stuff?
No, that sort of ran out of gas. Because it was a lot of. We started to get into teaching in other states and other places.
Who's we that was doing this?
There was a group of us, about probably 4 or 5 of us. That,
Got it.
Everybody had their specialty, and
what was your specialty?
My specialty was choreography at the time, not necessarily dance choreography, but we call it. We integrated the dance with the marching part of it, right?
Yep.
So how do all those people pass through one another without killing?
Yeah, and you see it like during football season, right? If you watch these bands, they're incredible. They're
Very cool.
300 musicians.
Some of them up to 300 people.
Yeah, it's crazy,
easily.
and they're writing words and
The
they're
way
moving.
they pass each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got, and then they
wild.
got dance teams and flags and cheerleaders. Everybody's running around out there, so it's
pretty amazing.
It's a busy place.
Yeah. So that runs out. You just run out of time to do it, or
I just couldn't travel that much with the 3 kids.
Yeah.
And, work. I owned the business and I was trying to run it, and I just couldn't disappear for 2 weeks in the summer for band camp. The infamous band camp, which is a real thing, by the way. It's very much a real thing, but it's like you're gone.
Yeah.
And
you're at band camp.
You're literally at some camp somewhere, right? What happens after practice and rehearsal is everybody else's business, not mine. But the stories will probably have some truth to it.
So you run that architectural firm for a while, right? I mean, and because we did our stuff in 2005, and it wasn't until I want to say the last 5 years that you made a change.
Yeah, so in 2015, so I primarily specialize in healthcare and research facilities, and still do to a certain extent, and we have a lot of one-off projects like the one down in the island and all of that stuff. But I ultimately was approached by a larger company they wanted to purchase me because they were looking to start an architectural division. And so I went through with that transaction, and we were still doing architecture in this area all over, but they were an international and national company. So, we spent a lot of time traveling around this country and working wacky hours to deal with Europe and Australia and all of that stuff. It was very exciting, but very taxing.
So how do they find you? How does that? I mean, you're just a little guy above a bank in Weymouth. Like, how does that happen?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have a pretty good stable of clients, and I always have some really top-notch medical facilities, and that obviously creates exposure to other companies. And this company happened to specialize in medical construction, in particular cancer centers, and that happens to be one of the things I specialize in designing. So it was kind of, we ended up working on a couple of projects early on. I used to use them as consultants for things related to cancer centers, and it just, that relationship just solidifies over the years. And ultimately, they wanted to expand their, they wanted to add the architectural silo to it, and so that's how that comes about.
Because they were doing what, like the inside of the before
They're doing a little bit of both. So that company specialized in radiation, and primarily radiation shielding. So if you are building a cancer treatment linear accelerator vault, they require large amounts of lead and concrete.
Okay.
And they specialized in that.
Got it. Got it.
And so I was designing a lot of those spaces as the architect, and they were either consultants in selling the shielding component or even doing some design build. And
Got it.
It just came to one of those, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And I was at a point where, it's like everything else. It made sense at the time.
Made sense at the time.
Yeah.
And how long does that relationship last?
About 5.5 years.
Okay.
So I had an employment agreement, and then COVID came right into the middle of all that.
Right.
And I stayed for a little while longer, but then it was just evident that it was time to make a change.
Yeah.
I had to, I had to work closer to home. I was working, a 2-hour commute each way, which is deadly.
Yeah,
I would never recommend that to anybody. Even people from Berkeley.
Yeah, I mean, that's a healthcare issue.
Yeah, it was definitely a health issue.
We try to make it work, though.
Yes, we do.
We give all kinds of concessions.
Oh, boy. There you go. We can share some notes.
Yeah, exactly.
I know all about those. So it was just time. Like a lot of relationships, they run out of steam. They run out of, I don't want to say desire, because I still obviously I'm super active and I just spent a couple of months at home twiddling my thumbs, and I was unhappy about that. That wasn't natural. So it's just, the relationship ended amicably, and, I had another opportunity much closer to home, which is where I am now.
Right. Yeah. You're at RDA.
It's RDA Inc. And we're in Raymond Design Associates. We're in Rockland.
So how does that relationship come about? Same idea?
No, not quite. Actually, Gene Raymond, who's the owner of the firm, his wife and my wife went to the gym together.
There you go.
Right?
Gym friends.
Gym friends, right? Exactly.
That one turned out all right. It didn't go the other way.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't the toilet name Jim.
Yeah. Was that the actual gym?
That's a good tie-in, isn't it?
Well done. Well, I saw what you did there.
Right? So. Hey, my husband's an architect. Gee, mine is too. He's, looking for some help. And we just actually became friends before. And it was one of those things where let's, one half of the firm, there's actually 3 silos. One's very heavily into municipal, town halls, fire departments, libraries, stuff like that. The other one does schools, K through 12 primarily, and then I bring the healthcare component in, along with a number of other things, because like anything else, healthcare provides a forum to meet many different people.
Sure. Yeah. So it sounds like it's amazing. What an amazing nudge that is, right? Your wife meets this person at the gym. They just happen to be in the same spin class, so the same.
Totally random.
Crazy.
Right? Or whatever it is they do in the gym.
Right,
I don't quite know.
Maybe they're just drinking lattes.
They could be.
Protein lattes.
Protein
Let's
latte.
work out for an hour and then go up to the bar.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, right.
Like the old Ridge Arena. Let's work out for a long time and then take it away. Good stuff.
That's great though. So now you've been with them for 3 years.
Coming up on, it'll be 4 in August.
Coming up on 4 in August.
4 years goes by like nothing.
And you're doing our project in Nantucket. But you mentioned very quickly that you were home for a couple months. What happened with that?
So I had triple bypass surgery in the end of October.
Wow.
Fall. So that was a little. Talk about a nudge. That was a sideways nudge.
Yeah, that's a sideways nudge for sure.
Yeah. So, but I got.
Did you have an event that or did you just happen to go in and get a CAT scan on your heart or whatever?
No, I was having some trouble and discomfort, and I had 5 years before I had stents.
Okay.
And so I just recognized the symptoms, and I had called my doctor, and then we were at a wedding in particular one weekend, Columbus Day weekend. Actually, we were down in Newport, and I knew something was all right, so I called him. He said, come in, and one thing led to another, and next thing I knew, I was hanging around for a couple of days at South Shore, and then bingo into.
So it was like they kept you there.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me go.
They wouldn't let you leave
because they probably knew I would be messing around and trying to get as much work done as possible.
Right, because knowing that you got something coming down the pike, I got to take care of some stuff.
Exactly. I don't know if I'm coming out, so I want to make sure my affairs are in order. But yeah, so that's so I sat at home. I honestly went back a little too early, but it was at a point where sitting around was not a great feeling.
Was almost as detrimental as going back could have been.
Because all I was thinking about was what needed to get done or what wasn't getting done, and I had a great team. They did that my care team, but also my office team. They filled in the gaps pretty well. But it was getting to the point where I needed to get out of the house and go
back to work.
And it's not like it's physical labor.
Right.
It's more mental stress and
But it's stress, and it's the act of getting up and being there and bouncing around one job to the other, and your brain's going, and maybe you get a little bit of anxiety, like, oh, did I design this right? Is that going to work? Like you said, I mean, You're watching it come out of the ground. You're like, oh shit, did I put the elevator in the right spot, or is that corner going to work? Or
if I'm not around to try to correct it, if I see something that somebody else might not recognize, it wears on you.
Right, that's the stress.
Right,
that's the stress. Not necessarily that the work's not getting done, but is it getting done with the right eyes on it?
Right, and I think it's important to know too that the world doesn't stop, as we all know, right? So everything was keeping going. And I have great clients that were really patient and understood, but there's still things are going on. Right?
Yeah, and at some point they're going to say, "Jesus, well, I don't know if George is coming back. We better go try, ABC architecture," and then you lose them.
Right.
But sort of what has stuck with me, what sticks with me is there's clearly a work ethic that was instilled early, right? Like going to high school and then going to work after, it's obviously still with you to this day.
Yeah, I would say that, I can thank my mother and father, but my father, I watched him go out the door every single day, and then during tax season, every night, every weekend day, he was out doing tax. He was hustling.
Yeah, trying to make a living.
Yeah, provide for us. So.
Yeah, and it sticks with you watching that stuff.
Absolutely, I think of it every day.
Yep, yeah, and it's you don't, as a father, right? You try and always do the right thing and say the right thing, but just the fact that you're getting up every day and going to work, that's the stuff that the kids remember. I mean, I had let's just say that Rose and I had a little bit of we didn't see eye to eye this morning. Okay, Rose and I.
It seems to be happening a lot lately.
Well, Rose is at that age, she is super independent, and so she likes to do things her way, and she's a night owl, and so if you're a night owl, mornings become a little bit more difficult, but she's a night owl, and that's who she is. So we don't really fight her to go to bed at 9:00, regardless of what she's going to be like the next day, because she likes her nights. So we let her stay up a little bit later than everybody else, and Hank gets all upset. But she's not going to remember that one time I yelled at her. She's going to remember the fact that I was there every day to take her to school, or I'm going to work, or she's getting on a plane this afternoon to go to Florida to go do her cheerleading, and that's what they're going to remember, right? It's not going to. I mean, I gave it to her pretty good this morning. I will say that, but so Rose, if you're listening, I'm sorry, buddy. But to your point, I watched my father go to work every single day.
All the time, right?
Yeah, it was, and you don't even probably realize. And Keith's dad's, how old's your dad? 76?
Yeah.
Still goes to work every single day. Doesn't have to. Very successful cat. Doesn't need to go to work, but he goes to work every single day. And I think in watching, as I get older and watching older people, my father as well, I think I will work until I will be doing something with my brain until they put me in a box.
I would say, yeah, I don't.
Whether it's
retirement is not really anything, and I'm in a profession, thankfully, where I can continue to do what I do.
yeah, and if you wanted to go down to 2 days a week, you could do that. I mean, the way technology is now, if you wanted to go to Florida for 2 months, you could do that.
Absolutely.
Like you could do all those things because of the profession that you're in. And you know, I where I am now and where crowd lending is now, I have to be here every day. But it's going to get to a point, hopefully, where I don't have to be here every day, and I can look at deals and stop looking at me like that. You know, from wherever I am. But my point is,
You can AI the podcast.
I
Put
think
it right in
there's
the chair and AI it.
I think there's a tremendous amount of value
Hologram.
in working
Well,
until you die. Okay.
there's the future.
All right. Okay. So just write that down. Work till you die.
That pretty much tells you that there's no snow days in crowd lending.
Yeah.
The office is always open.
Yeah.
So anyway, George, I appreciate you sharing your story.
No problem.
I think it's always great, and this will be the third time I mentioned Doris. She'll be very happy. But Doris always makes a note that she's raised 3 wonderful boys, and they all took very different paths. And it's always wonderful to hear that there are different paths for these kids, right? You don't have to be, you don't have to go to the Ivy League school, or you don't have to go to, if you want to go to a specific college for a specific reason like you did, it works.
Right.
It works. So if that's what you want to do it. Right? Don't be afraid that you're going to get in there and not like it. Just if that's what you want to do, go do it. And if 6 months in you don't like it, you can always change. You're 20 years old.
At that age,
Yeah.
you can do anything you want.
You can do anything you want. So, but it's always great to hear a different path and a different, just a different path. So I appreciate that.
No problem. I appreciate sharing it.
So my little potting story, and this kind of goes, I'll just tell the story. So there's a monk and his apprentice, and they're walking down this path, and they get to a river that they have to cross. And at the same time that they arrive at the river, this super ultra rich woman arrives at the same time, and she's got white gowns, and they're flowing, and they're beautiful. And she says, you must, and she's got her luggage. She says, you must assist me in getting across this river. So the monk and the apprentice say, of course, I'm going to help this lady get across. So they pick up the luggage, and they pick her up over their head, and they transfer it across, and her silk dress doesn't get wet, and she gets to the other side. She's perfect. They're soaked. Their clothes are soaked, and they're muddy, and they're gross, and the woman just turns, and she just walks away. She doesn't say thank you. She doesn't say anything to them. And so the monk and the apprentice just continue on, and they continue to walk for 2 more hours to their destination. And finally, the apprentice says to the monk, I can't believe that woman didn't say thank you. She didn't do anything good for us. She just was a complete jerk and a complete asshole about the whole thing. And the monk looks at him and says, I see that you're still carrying that woman. I put her down 2 hours ago. And I thought that was a great message. Like, why you don't carry that nonsense with you. It doesn't affect you anymore. Leave it at the side of the river. If people treat you poorly, or if you don't get a thank you or whatever,
That's a great point.
just let it go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my potting story.
That's a great story.
Thanks, Rupi. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Keithy, same to you.
He's
Danny?
left you with the river.
I'm leaving you on the other side of the river, though. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you whose clothes aren't getting wet crossing that river. It's me. Okay? It's this guy. George, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Rupia, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keithy, as always.
Danny.
And if anybody needs me, you know where to find me, because everybody needs a nudge. We'll see you later.